Why I Quit My Job at Target. Posted in Reddit Nosleep by the magical Still Chill. If you like this story, you can check the link in the video description. Be warned and hang on to your seats. This video may contain disturbing content. Viewer discretion is advised. As the title says, I recently decided to quit my job for the Target supermarket chain. Something happened to me in my final days there. Something that shook me to my very core. It all started with a death in the store. Me, my manager Alan, and one of my coworkers, Jackie, were opening up the store one morning. Jackie was doing a quick check on the aisles near the front of the store, and Alan had gone off to his office. I was on my way to check on our overnight guard, Gabe. When I got to the security office, I saw him looking at the monitor with a bewildered look on his face. I said hi, and he jolted, clearly not having seen me walk in. "What's got you so focused? I was half expecting to see you jerking off when I walked in." Ignoring me, Gabe turned back to the monitor, focusing intently once more on it. "Hey, I'm talking to you." "Where the hell is he?" "What? Look at this." I walked over to his chair and looked over at the monitor as well. Gabe continued. "You see that guy?" "Yeah." "I don't know how I managed to notice this, but it's been bugging me since 6 o'clock. Long friggin' story short, he never left the building. He walks in 5 minutes before closing, turns a corner, and is never seen again." I looked at the footage that Gabe had been studying, and indeed, the man wasn't caught on camera after turning the corner. "I've been skimming through the footage to see if he turns up again. Maybe he hid in a nearby shelf and was trying to rob us or some shit," Gabe said. "But no, he just up and vanishes like a damn ghost." Me and Gabe scanned the footage a bit more. After a while, we heard a screech. Not from the desktop speaker, but from the back of the store. Me and Gabe ran over to the back of the store and saw Jackie running out of the bathroom, white as a sheet. "There's a dead guy in there!" She screamed over and over. After a while of trying to calm down Jackie, Alan came over asking what all the screaming was about. All four of us went into the bathroom, and indeed, there was a dead man in one of the stalls. He was sitting on the toilet in a fetal position, feet on the toilet seat and still upright. How his body had stiffened up enough to be like this without having to fall off, I do not know. His hands covered his eyes as if he were crying at the time of his demise. There was no blood on the floor. Just a statue-like corpse of a man who once was. "That's the same dude!" Gabe exclaimed. The police showed up and identified the man as Jason Vickers. Jason's body was removed from the scene after that. Gabe showed them the footage and I Lysol'd the toilet, just in case. After a brief interview with the police and local news channel, the event was over. We opened and operated as normal after that. None of the cameras were damaged and the footage wasn't edited in any shape or form. Jackie wasn't taking the situation very well and left for home early. 3 days later, I walked into the Lego aisle, but it was no longer a Lego aisle. It had changed to a menstrual and incontinence aisle. I was confused. That aisle was on the other side of the store. I walked to the other end of the aisle, the one facing the wall, and turned around to get a look at where I was. However, when I turned around, I saw that I was not facing into the incontinence aisle, but rather a shoe aisle. Disturbed and confused, I walked out of that aisle and onto the main path. I looked behind me and saw that the deli was now in the shoe aisle's place. I walked along the path, noticing that to my left was a long Lay's display that went from one end of the store to another. I began to panic, now jogging along the path. The aisles continued to change as I walked. However, when I walked back to where I turned the corner, the display was no longer there. Instead, there were the wall-side entrances to the other freezer aisles and food aisles. I turned around, running now, hoping to find somebody, but no. I found nobody as I ran. The aisles not only continued to behave weirdly, there was an entire wall-side display of massive bags of sour night crawlers. I came across the same chip display on what should have been the opposite side of the store as before. At the other end of the formerly mentioned chip aisle was a Halloween costume display. No matter where I ran, I could not find any help. There was not a single soul I encountered on this journey. The exit had disappeared. Every time I went through a section of the store, its contents would have changed drastically. I ran through some of the aisles and back onto the main path, hoping to see someone, anyone there. I eventually fell down on my hands and knees and screamed, "Where am I?" I started to wonder if I was having a bad stroke or somebody had drugged the water fountain. Nothing was making sense. I should have found the exit ages ago. Where was it? I shouted for anybody to come, but nobody came. I was alone in this purgatory. This store, this fever dream-like mockery of the store I once knew. I felt scared. I tried to think of a way out, but the rules of this place were so incomprehensible compared to the world I was in before, both in concept and design. I wanted to lie down and hope for this all to be a bad dream. I wondered if I would die here. I wondered if this was all real. I wondered if Alan would find my body. I wondered if Jason Vickers had met his fate here. Hundreds of thousands of thoughts fled through my mind, but none of them explained what was happening in this door. I closed my eyes, wept. After a while, I opened my eyes, realizing that I was now before a door. The sign on the front simply read, "Toilet Room." I quickly got to my feet, realizing that maybe, just maybe, the secret to Jason Vickers' death was in there. I walked in, seeing a large room similar to that of a prison shower room, but with much higher ceilings. There were many halls lined with showers on both sides. At the end of each was a toilet with a curtain that could be drawn in front of it. In the room to the far left, the curtain was more closed than the rest. Not just left halfway open like the others, but almost fully pulled closed as if someone was using it. Against better judgment, I walked over to the curtain. I pulled it aside. There, sat messily on top of the toilet tank, were some clothes all damaged by apparent claw marks. I put my hand in its pocket and pulled out a wallet. I looked within and my greatest fear was realized. The ID read Jason Vickers. Tears formed in my eyes. I was going to meet the same fate here. I was going to die, crying and bewildered. I wasn't going to get an answer as to where this place was or why I appeared here. I was going to be killed by whatever abomination lived here. I'd be found dead in the bathroom stall, just like poor Vickers. My body would be taken away and my case would never be solved. I then heard a noise I would have never wanted to hear in a million years. I heard a step, a singular, hard-hitting, bare-skinned step. I quickly closed the curtain, praying that whatever made that step wouldn't find me. I got up on the toilet, curled up just like Jason was. This is the end. I thought my death shall be like Vickers. I heard the footsteps again, a fleshy slap against the floor. More footsteps followed, each one sounding closer. Then I got an idea. I hopped off the toilet and opened the toilet tank. I could use the lid as a shield. This would give me a fighting chance, as small as it might be. The footsteps at this point stopped, then accelerated. I ripped open the curtain and screamed at what or whoever could be there, hoping to throw it off guard. What I saw there was horrifying. The creature had the face of a human, but its jaw appeared to be detached on one side. Its body was like that of a horse, only hairless and veiny. Its skin was pale and scarred, with a few open scratches here and there. Despite its horse-like form, it had no hooves. Instead, all four limbs ended in a single human hand, all ending in long, clawed fingers. It slowed down once I opened that curtain, eventually looking me right in the eyes, inches away from my face. Its eyes were unlike anything I'd ever seen. In this beast's eyes, I saw naught but pure malice. I saw nothing but pure sadism. I was looking into the eyes of a demon and nothing more. I rammed into its jaw, causing it to fall off. The creature fell down and grabbed at the side of its head, shrieking in pain. I ran out of the bathroom and began to run through the aisles. Just as I feared, the demonic beast gave chase. As I ran through aisle after aisle, I noticed the contents getting barer and barer. Soon the aisles were empty. The lights overhead became more unreliable as I ran. eventually going out entirely. The air became dustier. The already crude recreation of the store I once loved was distorting more and more. I heard its screams of agony and anger getting closer. I ran till it eventually caught up with me. It grabbed me by my shoulder and threw me against the shelf. I threw the lid into its face, causing it to shatter. 5 of its sharp, grimy teeth fell out. I picked one up and stabbed the creature in the eye. Upon doing so, blood and smoke shot from the wound and onto my face. I wiped the blood from my eyes, and upon doing so, found myself in my own reality. The smoke was gone, but the guts and gore were still on my face. I was filled with more joy than you know. I was free. I was free from that horrible place. I used the Lysol wipes to clean the blood from my face and stomped out the door. As I was leaving, Alan asked where I had been. I told him that I quit. I've never been to that Target since then, and plan on moving out of town soon. I was never a changed individual before this happened, but now that I've stabbed a demon in the eye, I've reconsidered. As the saying goes, sometimes the things in our heads are far worse than anything they could put in books or unfilled. Bolt your doors and lock your windows. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell to get another tide of terror.